Greetings, everyone. This is Roger from Spot Connection with my review of Antlers. It's about a Wendigo that is eventually loosed in a small Oregon mining/logging town. Some quick thoughts is that it's very atmospheric with an excellently designed and revealed monster. However, there is some problem in the development of certain characters. We'll get into that later, though. So before we go into what would normally be what's normally in the rest of one of these reviews, we'll go over the myth of the Wendigo, the myth/legend of the Wendigo. It's an indigenous legend originating in Algonquin-speaking tribes of a malevolent spirit that tends to possess humans, and it usually leads to cannibalism. Antlers seems to combine the more widely spread Wendigo legend with the Athabascan Wachuge legend, which is, again, I make this. I'm saying this last part because of the fact that Antlers is set in the Pacific Northwest, and the Athabascan tribe was more in the Pacific Northwest. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on to the cast of note. We've got Carrie Russell as Julia Meadows, a middle school teacher in a small town in Oregon, sister of the sheriff. She's also a recovering alcoholic. Jesse Plemons as Paul Meadows, Julia's brother and also the sheriff of said small town, has lived his entire life in that town. Jeremy T. Thomas as Lucas Weaver, the older son of local ne'er-do-well Frank Weaver. Actually, a fairly stereotypical creepy kid who has seriously lived through some shit, and that's before the movie even starts. Graham Greene as Warren Stokes, who's Paul's predecessor as sheriff, and in fact, the way he's introduced, it did kind of come off as Paul stating that he had been sheriff back when Paul and Julia had been kids, or at least teenagers. Scott Hayes as Frank Weaver, widowed man and father of two, as well as drug addict and drug dealer, who becomes afflicted with the Wendigo curse. And these last two are prime examples, to a degree, of characterization, as the titles that they have pretty much are the extent of the character. We've got Amy Madigan as school principal Ellen Booth, and Rory Cochran as Deputy Daniel LaCroix. So our spoiler-free breakdown. We begin with Frank and his partner being attacked while they're breaking down their meth lab, which is hidden in an abandoned mine. Well, 3 weeks later, we learn that Frank has survived, but he's violently ill to the point of needing to be locked in the attic of his house, along with his younger son, Aiden. While Lucas, his older son, continues to go to school and also bring freshly killed animals, and even try to learn how to trap animals, small animals, to feed his father and his brother. One of Lucas's teachers, Julia, tries to get first her brother Paul to who, as mentioned, is the sheriff, and then the school principal to do a welfare check on Frank, Lucas, and Aiden. However, the check that eventually does occur leads to Frank's transformation and escape, which does not bode well for the small Pacific Northwest town. So our ups and downs. The finalized design of the Wendigo in the movie is actually really, really good, and the reveal is also well done. While about midway through or so, we do get a full well-lit shot of the Wendigo. It's very quick, so you don't really get to see any detail on it. But yes, it's pushed not really until the film's climax when we get a real good look at it. The movie itself is well shot, fairly well written. And honestly, the cast is decent. No one's terrible. It's just that no one's really spectacular. Though I will say that if Jeremy T. Thomas continues on it, he's at least got the creepy kid down pat. The gore effects are also very well done. It also does a good job of portraying the mysticism versus skepticism trope. On the downside, Graham Greene as former Sheriff Stokes feels very underused. His entire point was to simply pop in, be the previous sheriff, and give exposition as to the legend of the Wendigo. Also, the movie took, I don't know, I guess, what characterization it does give the characters, it takes the long way around to get to. Case in point, to a degree, I mentioned Julia being a recovering alcoholic. It's never explicitly said, but we get various shots of her in the local grocery store waiting in line and looking longingly at the bottles of liquor behind the counter. Though she stopped herself from buying one. So, which for most of you kind of okay. So why did she quit drinking? Why would obviously drinking was a problem. What led to her quitting? And so it become. But yeah, things are explained. But yeah, it's like I said, the movie could have developed Julia in a more expedient manner. Though I'm not sure how I would go about doing it in an expedient manner, and it could have more developed practically everyone else. Paul, especially LaCroix and the principal. Both of them could have done with a little bit more of Principal Booth, yes. Both of them could have done with a bit more characterization. But yeah. Anyway, overall though, it's still an enjoyable movie if you're a fan of, if you enjoy supernatural horror movies. This is a good one. It's worth checking out. It's well made, decently written and acted. Like I said, and the monster effects look great. Though, also as stated, it could have made better use of certain characters. Overall rating, I gotta say, 3.5 out of 5. Easily. But anyway, that is going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.